Hello guys, so I just want to share something that I learned recently about the use client directive. So that is, the use client directive is not only for client components, it's for anything that you want to run on the client. So for example, let's say you want to add a button here that a user can click on. So to be able to make this button interactive, we add an on-click handler. So we add on-click, which will be executed by our on-click function. So let's implement this on-click function here. So let's do something like maybe instead of logging, let's alert the hello world message here. So if we save this page, you'll realize that the page will crash immediately and you'll get the event handlers cannot be passed to client component error. So because you're turning this component into an interactive component with interactive elements here like clicking, this component can only run on the client. So to get it working, we have to add the use client directive at the top of the file. So if we save it, then our component will work and we'll be able to click and see the alert message. So what if I told you that we can still maintain the interactivity of this button here, but our component will still be rendered on the server, will still be a server component? So what if I told you that we can still maintain this interactivity but keep the component as a server component without having to use this use client directive inside this component? So here's how you can do it. So first of all, let's extract this on-click function into a separate file. So let's remove this from here. So we can create a separate file here inside say util button.ts. So you can export our on-click handler here. So let's export it like that. So inside our page component, we don't need the use client directive here, and our event handler here should now be loaded from our util function like that. So let's save it the way it is. So if we go to the util function here, all we need to do is add the use client directive that we just removed from the page component here. So this means that anything inside this file, including our function here, will only be run on the client, and our page component here can continue being a server component. So if we click on the button, it works out of the box. So if this works, then it means that if we include the use client directive, any file that uses browser only APIs, it will work out of the box. It doesn't have to be a component. So we don't have to export a component from this file to be able to take advantage of the use client directive. So for example, we can add a util here, say colors.ts. So we can make this generate random colors and add to body. So for example, we can use an immediately invoked function expression like this that will be called whenever this function is loaded, that will be called whenever this function is loaded, and then change the document object directly. So you can do something like document.body.style.background color is equals to like these random values here. So the key thing is to make sure that at the top of the file, we make sure that it's a use client directive is included. So if we go to our page here, let's load our util. So because we don't have any exported member, so let's just import it directly from util colors. So just like that, and save the file. So if we refresh the page, the body will have random colors assigned to it. So we are doing stuff here that React does not know about. We are manipulating the DOM directly without using the React component model, but it still works. So use client is for anything that you want to run on the client, and you can confirm that this page component here is a server component. So if we say add server only stuff here like fetching data. So for example, we want to fetch data from let's say a random API. So for example, the JSON placeholder API. So we can fetch it, get the JSON and log it. So this can only happen in a server component. So if we refresh the page, everything will still work. Clicking the button will work. And if we inspect our terminal UI here, you can see that data is being fetched. And also another thing that I want to point out is that this can happen for props too. So it doesn't have to be like a prop on a HTML element directly. So this could be a button component, for example, with an on-click prop. So if we create this component, so let's add it under components button.tsx. So we export a default function button with the on-click prop, and what it does is just renders a button component with the on-click prop passed into it. So if we include it into this component here like that with the prop, it will still work with no problems. So also for the button component here, we didn't have to turn it into a client component for this to work. So as long as the on-click handler here only runs in client components, we don't have to turn everything into a client component with the use client directive at the top of the file for it to work. So it's a pretty neat feature that I really like. So that is what I learned this week. I hope you learned something new from this too. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.